the Galactic Council's sudden abduction of the President's child sent shockwaves through Earth. It wasn't just an attack on a single family, it was a clear message of intimidation, aimed at showing humanity its vulnerability. The Council had long been accustomed to ruling through fear and calculated shows of dominance, and they assumed that taking a loved one of Earth's most influential figure would be enough to make humanity yield to their demands. They expected humanity to fall in line, to bend under the weight of such a targeted threat. But the Council had underestimated the depth of human resolve. The response on Earth was immediate and fierce. News of the abduction spread quickly, igniting outrage among citizens across the globe. This wasn't simply a political issue, it became deeply personal for the public. People saw it as a gross violation of their dignity, a blatant disregard for the principles of diplomacy, and a direct challenge to their collective strength. Within hours, demonstrations erupted in cities worldwide, and the message from Earth's citizens was clear: they would not stand by while the Council sought to assert its control through such an act of cruelty. For humanity, this was a line that could not be crossed. The President, known for a strong commitment to diplomatic solutions, faced an agonizing decision. As a leader, they had always advocated for negotiations over conflict, seeking to avoid war wherever possible. Yet, this was no ordinary dispute. This was their child, their family, and the lines between personal and political were blurred beyond recognition. The President addressed the world, choosing words carefully yet unmistakably. They promised to do everything in their power to bring their child home safely and made it clear that no further negotiations would take place with the Council until their child was returned. This was a rare moment of unity between Earth's government and its people, who felt their leaders' resolve and joined in the demand for the child's safe return. Earth's allies across the galaxy watched closely, and even those civilizations with little interest in human politics took note. Many understood the risk humanity was taking by making such a bold stand against the Council. The Galactic Council had a reputation for ruthlessness and total authority, and it was unheard of for any civilization to resist their influence directly. But Earth's leaders knew that to concede would only embolden the Council to further infringements. They couldn't allow themselves to be seen as weak or susceptible to intimidation. The abduction had awakened a sense of resilience in humanity, a determination to show that they would not be controlled. The Council, however, remained confident that humanity would back down. Their decision to take the President's child was part of a calculated move to pressure Earth into compliance, and they saw humanity's reaction as expected outrage that would ultimately fade. They viewed themselves as the galaxy's guardians, wielding power over countless worlds, and they believed that humanity would soon realize the futility of their resistance. In the Council's mind, humanity was simply another civilization that would eventually submit to the established galactic order. But humanity's response suggested otherwise, a fact that the Council was slow to fully appreciate. As the days passed, Earth's leaders grew increasingly resolute. There was no question of yielding, no consideration of compromise. Humanity had taken its stance, and that stance was unshakable. The Council would not dictate their terms. The abduction had galvanized them into action, sparking a collective resolve that transcended politics and national borders. This wasn't just about one child, it was about humanity's right to determine its own future, to resist coercion and threats, and to stand against any force that attempted to strip away their autonomy. The situation became more than a diplomatic standoff, it was now a test of humanity's core values. To yield would be to abandon their principles, to send a message to their children and future generations that intimidation could dictate their choices. And so, Earth's leaders and citizens alike prepared themselves for the long haul, ready to face whatever came next. The President's pain was evident, yet their determination was unwavering, and it became a beacon for all who watched. Across Earth, citizens unified, calling for the return of the President's child and vowing to support whatever measures were necessary to make it happen. They were prepared to bear the risks, understanding that this stance could lead to conflict but also knowing that compromise was not an option. This was a matter of integrity and strength, a declaration that humanity would not be bullied, no matter the stakes. The Council's abduction of the President's child had triggered a response they hadn't anticipated, and the full force of Earth's defiance was just beginning to be felt. The abduction united humanity in a way few events ever had. Governments around the world, often divided by politics and ideology, came together with a singular purpose: securing the return of the president's child and defending Earth's sovereignty. The incident was no longer simply about a single life, it had become a battle for humanity's right to stand on its terms. The shock had worn off, replaced by a focused determination to send a clear message to the Galactic Council that humanity would not be intimidated. In response, Earth's governments took swift, coordinated action. High-level meetings that would have taken months to arrange were convened in hours, with leaders from across continents discussing strategies, gathering intelligence, and pooling resources. Military leaders set aside historical rivalries, understanding the gravity of the situation. The abduction was viewed as an act of provocation, and they prepared accordingly. This was not just a diplomatic crisis, it was an assertion of Earth's stance in the universe, and every measure had to align with that commitment. The global response extended beyond governments and military planning. Intelligence agencies collaborated to gather information about the Council's strongholds, supply chains, and defenses. Experts analyzed every public and private source available, mapping out the Council's weaknesses. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock, developing countermeasures and refining defense systems. It was a comprehensive, multi-level operation, one that reflected the full extent of Earth's resolve. Resources were mobilized swiftly, with humanity's most brilliant minds coming together to prepare for any possible scenario. Earth's leaders, in a decisive show of unity, issued a formal statement to the Galactic Council. They declared that the abduction was an affront to humanity's dignity and autonomy, an action that violated every norm of civilized engagement. They condemned the Council's tactics, making it clear that such methods would not be tolerated. Humanity demanded the immediate and unconditional return of the president's child, underscoring that this was not a negotiation but an ultimatum. The statement was firm, unwavering, and uncompromising, a declaration that Earth would not submit to intimidation, regardless of the Council's power. As the statement reached the Council, its members reacted with a mix of disbelief and disdain. They had not anticipated such a coordinated and unyielding response. In their view, humanity's position was irrational, a reckless stand against an authority far superior in strength and reach. The Council had expected humanity to cower, not to organize a unified front. But Earth's stance had made one thing clear: they would not be moved by fear, and they would not make concessions under duress. The Council began to realize that their usual strategies of intimidation would not work here. While the Council dismissed Earth's demands, on Earth, preparations only intensified. Citizens rallied behind their leaders, understanding that this was not just a fight for one life but a test of humanity's independence and collective strength. The people of Earth, aware of the risks, committed themselves to the cause, volunteering resources and support in unprecedented numbers. No one was unaffected, and the sentiment that had emerged was resolute: they would stand by their leaders, no matter the cost. Earth's scientists and engineers accelerated their work, developing strategies to counter potential retaliation. Defense systems that had previously been theoretical were put into rapid development. They knew that a show of strength from the Council could come at any moment, and humanity was prepared to face it head-on. Earth's response was not just reactionary but strategic, an active demonstration of their capability to protect their people and defend their world from any threat. In a further act of unity, Earth's various military forces coordinated to form a joint command. They shared intelligence, resources, and technologies to create a cohesive response that maximized their combined strength. From space defense initiatives to ground strategies, every detail was meticulously planned, leaving nothing to chance. The collective resolve was clear: they would meet any force the Council attempted to deploy with equal resistance, prepared for both defense and, if necessary, offense. At every level, Earth was ready. Humanity's unified stance sent a clear message to the Council: this was not just about a kidnapped child, it was about humanity's place in the galaxy, their right to autonomy, and their readiness to defend their sovereignty. The incident had triggered a transformation within Earth, one that left them more unified, more focused, and more determined than ever before. The Galactic Council's initial reaction to Earth's ultimatum was one of condescension. Humanity's unified stance was seen as defiance, an unexpected response from a species they considered barely capable of interstellar travel, let alone meaningful resistance. To the Council, humanity's demands were a temporary flare of insolence, something to be dismissed with a demonstration of superior strength. They viewed Earth's response as an attempt to overreach, a naive effort to stand against a power that spanned countless systems and civilizations. Convinced of their dominance, the Council underestimated the depth of human resolve. Believing that intimidation would be enough to subdue Earth, the Council tightened security around their hostage, holding the President's child under heavier guard and restricting any information that might reach Earth. In their minds, humanity was on the brink of surrender. The Council issued its own message, coldly reminding humanity of the consequences of continued defiance. They hinted at escalation, implying that any further resistance would provoke actions that could jeopardize Earth's stability. The Council was confident that such warnings would compel Earth to reconsider and return to compliance, as had been the case with countless other civilizations. Yet, even as they dismissed humanity's demands, the Council began to feel an undercurrent of doubt. Humanity's swift organization, its unwavering refusal to negotiate under duress, and the sheer unity it displayed were unlike any resistance they had faced before. Within the Council's ranks, whispers of concern began to emerge. Some Council members privately questioned whether they had underestimated humanity's resolve. Others pointed out the unusual strength of Earth's response, noting that any further escalation might bring unintended consequences. But the Council's leaders, steeped in centuries of unchallenged rule, dismissed these concerns, seeing them as unnecessary caution. On Earth, however, the Council's response only strengthened humanity's resolve. Leaders and citizens alike interpreted the Council's message as confirmation of their unwillingness to respect Earth's autonomy. The warnings, intended to inspire fear, only intensified Earth's determination to proceed with their preparations. Humanity recognized that the Council's refusal to return the child was not just an insult to the President but an open challenge to Earth's standing among galactic powers. Every action from this point forward would set a precedent, and humanity was prepared to meet the test. Meanwhile, within the Council's leadership, the divide deepened. Some members, beginning to see the potential repercussions, argued that humanity's stance could inspire other civilizations to question the Council's authority. They warned that Earth's example might embolden others who resented the Council's methods. While the Council was accustomed to enforcing its will without resistance, humanity's response was creating ripples that could destabilize the carefully maintained balance of power. Still, the majority dismissed these concerns, maintaining their belief that humanity would ultimately comply. As the days passed, the Council continued to underestimate Earth's unity and resolve. They failed to understand that humanity was not merely posturing, they were fully prepared to defend their sovereignty, regardless of the consequences. Earth's leaders viewed this as an existential issue, a matter that would define their place in the galaxy for generations. There would be no surrender, no backing down. Humanity's message to the Council was unequivocal: they would protect their people, their values, and their independence at any cost. This internal division within the Council began to show as the situation escalated. The voices of those who had initially expressed concern grew louder, warning that humanity's resolve was not mere bravado but a deep-seated determination. They argued that the Council's usual tactics of intimidation would not work, that pushing humanity further could lead to a conflict that the Council was unprepared for. These dissenting voices pointed out that humanity's defiance was not a result of ignorance but a clear decision, a choice to uphold their principles against overwhelming odds. But the Council's leadership, confident in their power, ignored these warnings. They saw Earth as just another species to be managed, another planet that would eventually recognize the futility of resistance. The Council remained convinced that Earth would comply, believing their authority to be unassailable. Humanity's refusal to yield was an inconvenience, but not one they thought would endure. Yet, as they continued to insist on their demands, they remained unaware of the growing resolve that was steadily taking root across Earth. In the end, the Council's refusal to consider humanity's perspective became their greatest miscalculation. They viewed Earth's resistance as a temporary obstacle, failing to grasp the full extent of humanity's commitment to defending their sovereignty. For Earth, the Council's refusal to release the child only solidified their stance, reinforcing the understanding that they could not rely on the Council's goodwill. The moment of reckoning was fast approaching, and humanity was ready to face whatever consequences lay ahead. With the Galactic Council's unyielding stance and humanity's ultimatum dismissed, Earth's leaders finalized their plans for a decisive mission. The Council's refusal to release the President's child had left humanity with no options but to act. Preparations for a rescue operation were swiftly set in motion, bringing together Earth's most elite military and intelligence teams. Each member of the rescue squad was carefully selected for their skills, loyalty, and determination, all understanding that this mission represented more than the retrieval of a hostage. It was a statement of Earth's refusal to submit to coercion. The rescue plan itself was meticulously crafted, using every piece of intelligence humanity had gathered on the Council's strongholds and defense protocols. Scientists, strategists, and engineers collaborated to develop countermeasures against the Council's advanced technology. They analyzed known vulnerabilities, dissecting the layouts and security patterns of the Council's outposts. Every detail was scrutinized, every contingency planned for. This was humanity's declaration of competence and resolve, a demonstration that they were prepared to match the Council's power with precision and resilience. Once everything was in place, the team launched into action with unparalleled coordination. Their strategy was built on stealth, speed, and overwhelming accuracy, ensuring that the Council's forces would be caught off guard. The mission's objective was clear: enter, retrieve the President's child, and leave without engaging in unnecessary conflict. Yet, the team was prepared for any scenario. They understood that this was a one-time opportunity to make a stand that would reverberate far beyond the immediate crisis. The operation's success would signify not just a victory for Earth but a message to the Council and any other entity that dared underestimate humanity's resolve. The team faced numerous challenges upon reaching the Council's fortified location. As expected, the security measures were rigorous, each layer of defense more complex than the last. The Council's strongholds were designed with the assumption that no external force would ever dare attempt an infiltration. But Earth's operatives, well-prepared and undeterred, advanced through each obstacle with precision. They moved swiftly, navigating a maze of corridors and guarded checkpoints, evading detection and disabling security systems without leaving a trace. Despite the obstacles, the rescue team's determination propelled them forward. Every move was calculated, each step part of a larger, coordinated effort. The Council's defenses, formidable to most, proved surmountable as Earth's operatives adapted to each new layer of security, leveraging their training and technology to stay one step ahead. Each obstacle they encountered only reinforced their commitment to the mission. This was no mere retrieval, it was a demonstration of humanity's ingenuity and resolve in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Finally, after what seemed an eternity, the team reached the President's child. The rescue itself was executed with the same precision that had characterized every other aspect of the mission. Earth's operatives acted swiftly, securing the child and preparing for extraction. They knew that their success depended on a seamless escape, avoiding prolonged confrontation with the Council's forces. The entire mission had been designed around minimizing conflict, proving that humanity's goal was not escalation but the protection of their own. With the child safely in their custody, they began their careful retreat, evading the reinforcements that had begun to mobilize in response to their presence. The extraction was as calculated as the entry. Earth's team used misdirection and carefully timed maneuvers to evade detection, making their way back to their transport with minimal interference. Each member of the team was aware of the risk and the possibility of not returning. Yet their focus remained unwavering. They were driven not only by duty but by the shared belief that this act of defiance would echo across the galaxy. Humanity was no longer an untested civilization, they had taken a stand that would define their future. Upon securing their escape route, the team made their way back, the mission a complete success. Earth's forces, having successfully outmaneuvered one of the galaxy's most powerful alliances, delivered a blow to the Council's perception of their own invincibility. Humanity's victory in this operation, achieved through courage, precision, and unity, sent a clear message to the galaxy: Earth would not submit, and any threat to their people would be met with unyielding resolve. The successful rescue of the President's child sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For the first time, the Galactic Council, a body known for its unbreakable grip on its territories and subjects, had been defied and outmaneuvered. News of humanity's mission spread rapidly, reaching distant worlds that had long feared challenging the Council's authority. The Council's image, once seen as untouchable, now bore the mark of a civilization that had openly defied them and succeeded. The Council could no longer ignore the implications. Humanity was a force that demanded respect. The Council convened in urgent meetings to discuss the aftermath, aware that their failure to prevent the mission had far-reaching consequences. Humanity's actions set a precedent, one that could inspire others to question the Council's methods. Some members, still reeling from the breach, argued for retaliation, believing that only a show of force could restore the Council's standing. But others recognized the risks in pursuing further escalation. Humanity's resolve had been proven, and a continued confrontation might only deepen the loss of the Council's influence. The Council was now in the difficult position of deciding whether to double down on control or to reconsider its approach entirely. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders issued a formal statement to the Council and the galaxy, emphasizing that their actions had been a necessary defense of their people's rights and sovereignty. They made it clear that humanity would not seek conflict but would respond decisively to any threat to their autonomy. Their message underscored the principles of mutual respect and coexistence but drew a firm line against intimidation. This statement resonated with civilizations across the galaxy, many of whom had witnessed humanity's resolve and now saw them as equals rather than as a lesser species. The impact of humanity's stand against the Council extended beyond immediate politics. It reshaped perceptions across the galaxy. For countless worlds that had long accepted the Council's dominance, humanity's defiance signaled a shift. They had shown that resistance was possible, that a unified front against intimidation could succeed even in the face of immense power. Civilizations that had once thought of rebellion as futile began to consider their own positions, inspired by Earth's example. Humanity's stance became a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder that even the strongest powers could be challenged. On Earth, the rescue mission's success became a defining moment, a source of pride and a point of unity that transcended previous divides. Humanity, having achieved what many believed impossible, saw this victory as more than just a rescue. It was an affirmation of their place in the galaxy. The experience reinforced the idea that Earth could engage with other civilizations on equal footing. The message was clear: they would not be bullied, and they would protect their people with unwavering determination. The Council, faced with the undeniable consequences of humanity's resistance, found itself at a crossroads. For centuries, they had relied on fear and control to maintain order, but humanity's defiance had exposed the limits of such an approach. Some within the Council began to advocate for a re-evaluation of their methods, suggesting that respect and collaboration might yield better outcomes than intimidation. Humanity had forced them to confront the weaknesses in their governance model, revealing the fragility of an empire built solely on dominance. The story of humanity's stand spread beyond the Council's reach, altering the galaxy's power dynamics. Earth had entered the galactic stage with an unforgettable demonstration of courage and independence, and their actions would influence interstellar relations for generations. The Council, though still a formidable power, would have to contend with a galaxy that now saw them as fallible. Humanity's legacy was secured, not through conquest or aggression, but through a resolute defense of their values and principles. As time passed, Earth's role in the galaxy grew, shaped by the precedent they had set. Other civilizations reached out, seeking alliances based on mutual respect rather than fear. Humanity's defiance had marked a turning point, inspiring a shift in how power and authority were perceived across the stars. The Council, once seen as the final authority, now faced a galaxy that recognized the strength of unity and the importance of autonomy. In the end, humanity's victory went beyond the rescue of one individual. It redefined their standing among the stars. They had proven that they were not to be underestimated, that their spirit could not be broken. the Galactic Council's attempt to control them had instead given rise to a force that valued its freedom above all else, a force that would shape the future of the galaxy in ways the Council had never anticipated.